So if you are a seller in this market, the thing that matters the most above all else is price. Hi, I'm Danny Brown. I'm the CEO of Myriad Real Estate Group, and today we're going to talk about how to sell your home and how to sell it quickly in a buyer's market. So when it comes to selling your home, it comes down to three factors: price, presentation, and a willingness to negotiate. So the most important thing when it comes to selling your home is pricing it and pricing it accurately. So when we're pricing a home, we are doing our best to look at the past to predict the future, right? So we're looking at what homes similar to yours, similar shape, size, updates sold in the past to accurately price the home today. Now, when we're in a soft market, if your neighbor down the street sold 3 to 6 months ago at a certain price, odds are you're actually going to have to price it below that number because the market has gotten softer or weaker since your neighbor sold. We are not in a market where home values are inclining. They're actually staying flat, if not kind of softening and coming down a little bit. So you need to be aggressive in your pricing. And I believe in coining the term the rule of 10. If you've been on the market for 10 days and you've had no activity, then you're priced too high. If you've had 10 showings but no offers, then you're close, but you're still priced too high. So some people may think that 10 days on the market is too quick to make a price adjustment, but think about when you first list a home. It gets email blasted and sent to all the buyers that are looking for a home like yours in that location at the same time. So that is your peak exposure time frame, and if all those people are choosing not to view your home, you are losing a lot of momentum, and so you need to do a price adjustment and do it quickly. If you're having steady traffic through the property, then you can typically wait that 30 or 45 days to do that price adjustment, but if you're having little to no activity, absolutely do a price adjustment. And I have the ability, and your agent should have the ability, to actually look at the analytics in the area to see what buyers are looking within your zip code at the different prices. So you can see how many showings are taking place in the different price points around you. So you can see if there are a lot of active buyers and they're just choosing to skip you because of where you're priced. Next comes presentation. So the first thing you want is good curb appeal, right? So you want the outside of your home to look great. So you want to have the landscaping be manicured. You know, this is Arizona, so the paint gets bleached and it's very dusty. So maybe have the home power washed before going on the market. Potentially have a fresh coat of paint put on the exterior so that it really pops and looks new. That curb appeal is the first thing that buyers are going to notice when they pull up to your property. And if it doesn't look good, they're going to assume the rest of the home has deferred maintenance and hasn't been taken care of either. So that curb appeal when they first show up is super important. Now on the inside of the home, what sells homes? Well, kitchens and bathrooms. So if you're thinking of updating your house, the biggest return on your investment that you're going to get is updating the kitchens and bathrooms. That's what people want updated, and those are the pretty things that they enjoy. But when you're updating the home, it almost becomes like peeling an onion. At what point do you stop, right? So if I'm going to update my kitchens and bathrooms, now I'm acutely aware that I have old flooring and that needs to be updated too. So it could be one of those things where it's an all or nothing scenario. I really don't like clients that just are going to, half-ass those updates. You kind of need to go all in if you want to get the largest return on your investment. And that's a gamble too. You could end up putting $50,000, $75,000 into your home to update it and not get a dollar for dollar return. I guarantee that you will sell it faster than if it wasn't updated, but there's no guarantee that you're going to get that entire amount back in the updates. So it really comes down to working with your agent and looking at homes that are fully remodeled. What did they sell for versus homes that aren't remodeled? What did they sell for? And kind of doing the math to see if it makes sense. If you're not going to update it, make it the best that you absolutely can. So, that includes cleaning it for one. Clean the baseboards. When I'm showing homes, I look at the return air conditioner vents, and if those are caked in dust, I point that out. because to me, that means that the seller hasn't been maintaining or taking care of their air conditioner, and so that's a red flag. Wipe everything down and make it as clean as you possibly can. Clean the windows, clean the blinds, like do a deep, thorough cleaning first. Painting the inside. Painting the interior of a home gives it that clean, new smell, and that can usually be a relatively inexpensive thing to do to give a home a refresh. So those are some basics that you can do on the interior, but if you're not going to update it, recognize that the pool of buyers that are wanting to purchase something that they're going to have to put work into is much smaller than the pool of buyers that want to buy something that's all turnkey, right? If I have the choice between two homes and one is priced $50,000 more than the other, but the one $50,000 more doesn't need any updates, it's already taken care of, think about it from the buyer perspective. I'm amortizing that $50,000 over the course of 30 years. That's only a few $100s. At a few $100s a month, I could move into a house that is completely done. I don't have to do anything to it. Or I'm moving into this house that now I need to put in $50,000 of my own cash to update it to make it look similar to that one. I'm going to go for the more expensive home every single time. So you're going to have to price your property, if it's not updated, pretty aggressively to make it more attractive to that smaller pool of buyers. The buyer that you're ultimately looking for is somebody who couldn't otherwise afford to be in that neighborhood, right? If they could afford to buy a home that's updated, they would. But if they can't afford to be in that nicer, better neighborhood, if it was updated, that's the type of buyer that you're looking to attract. And the adage of, I don't want to update my home because I don't know if it's going to look attractive to a buyer, or if that's what they would choose, I'll let them choose it. That doesn't exist, right? When you update your home, you look at current trends, you put in what's popular to appease the masses. Now, are you going to attract everybody? No, but you're going to get more eyes on it. It's going to be attractive to the largest number of people. You just don't want to pick anything that's outrageous, like crazy wallpaper, crazy paint colors. You go with stuff that's pretty basic, pretty vanilla, that's going to be attractive to the largest number of individuals. And finally, there's negotiations. So homes right now are selling at 98% of the final list price. That does not mean that they're selling at 98% of the list price when they start. So this is when people do price drops. They finally get to the point where it makes sense. Then people are offering and getting under contract at 98% of that price. So one, do not price it high to negotiate down. That does not work. And be willing to negotiate. Be willing to do repairs to a home. I recently had a buyer under contract and the home needed a new roof, needed new air conditioners. The seller was unwilling to do those things, so we walked. And guess what? They have now dropped that price more than it would have cost them to do those things for my clients, and they're still sitting on the market. I checked today. So it's one of those things where you need to be willing to do those things once the buyer asks for them, or be willing to have a back and forth conversation, because it's going to be crucial in order to get those things done. Roofs, air conditioners, those things don't improve over time. And so it's going to be better to negotiate and deal with the buyer that you have than to go back to the market and try to find somebody that is not going to have the same problems. Odds are you're going to end up going back to market. It's going to take a while to find the next buyer. They're going to do inspections. They're going to discover the same issues, which technically you should be disclosing now anyway, and they're probably going to ask for them. No one wants to acquire your home that has all this deferred maintenance and needs a bunch of work done to it. The most important thing to sell a home in a soft market is going to be price. Something that I've started doing is I've actually looking at canceled and expired listings, not just homes that have sold. If I can see a trend of people that have listed at certain prices and didn't have success at that price, that is information I can bring back to my client and my seller saying, these clients all have homes similar to yours. None of them sold. They canceled the listing expired, and so now we know that that price doesn't work. So looking at homes that were on the market to help you decide if your pricing strategy works can also be another thing that you do. If you have questions on strategy or how you can sell your home quicker in a soft market, definitely reach out, leave some questions in the comments. Don't forget to give a like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.